dog. I'ma dive on the floor, go try to block every shot, and I'ma be physical with you the whole game. You know Stu gonna be physical with you. When you think of the Pistons, you think of just hard work and just gritty basketball. That's just the identity you gotta have when you put on that jersey.
I'm not your average breed of canine. Not a good dog, I'm bad boy for life. I set the tone, don't care about no tick. Let it be known, I get my respect. Come in the lane and see I don't bluff. If you retaliate, that's on ya. Talking pundits, I hear you're ashamed. Talking that shop, you must want this way. Tryna tell ya, if the dog palm, mess around, find out, if the dog palm, mess around, find out, Put some barbecue sauce, boy, you better cough a hill, cause I'm like that. When you're real, put some barbecue sauce, boy, you better cough a hill, cause I'm like that. The dog palm, mess around, find out.
What up, though? Welcome back to another episode of the Downtown Dude Show. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday hump day so far. And we are joined once again by my brother, Clutch Points, beat writer and reporter for the Detroit Pistons, none other than Eric Vincent, a.k.a., as I call him, E. Vinny. Eric, welcome back to the show, my brother. How you feeling, man?
Feeling good, man. Vibes are high right now. Piston fans, happy to see y'all here today, too, man. It's going to be a good show. I'm happy to be here, man. Let's get this thing going.
Let's get to some comments real quick. Low budget talker calling me out talking about we late. Bro, I'm trying to get this content together for everybody. We trying to get this content, man. These videos and pictures y'all love to see. So bear with us, man. But no, my bad.
We got the delay a little bit like the Pistons last year for Media Day and all that. So, you know,
man, what?
It be like that sometimes. I understand it without.
Listen, if I'm ever a half hour late, then you then you can come holler at me.
Right.
James, what's going on? Ricky, what's up? What's up? Detroit Drew, I see you in the building. Ricky says, E. Vinny loves Butterbean. I don't know what that's about.
No, I don't. I was talking to him earlier, and he just acted stupid. No, I do not.
I was gonna say that's not random at all. But we'll
no, not even a little.
So listen, bro, we had Media Day on Monday, right? And now training camp is in full swing. The Pistons are back in the gym in preparation for the preseason, which begins next week on October the 6th. Super close. And E. Vinny has been in the building at the practice facility every day. And so we appreciate you as always, bro.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I'm happy to be a part of the scene, man. Even going back to Media Day, like you can just tell the energy is a little different. You know, last season, it was clear that they were just trying to wash away what happened the year before.
Facts.
But now it seems like just all the spirits are raised with the culture being set, with the direction clearly in sight. And it looks like they're excited for the expectations. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. It's going to be a really fun season.
Real quick, did you see the little teaser trailer for their Together all the time together slogan that they put out, bro? That looks like that's going to be fire. Shout
out to their media department. Shout out to their social team. They've been killing it with these like little teaser videos and whatnot. Yep. Yeah, that's going to be fun. I cannot wait for that to drop. That's going to be very entertaining.
Yeah, shout out to Detroit Pistons admin because they have been on top of their game. Like, it's been nonstop. A lot of Pistons fans in the past been asking, where's the content? You know, what's going on behind the scenes? They've been nonstop this year.
Oh, yeah.
Like, every few hours, it seems like they got something new popping off. So, shout out to them for sure.
They're doing it right. They're doing it.
So talk to us, bro. Talk to us, man. Anything that stands out initially that you've noticed or observed from training camp so far? What you got?
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. It's a lot of good, like I don't want to keep repeating it, but it's been a lot of good intention from what I'm seeing from everybody that's been involved thus far. You know, JB talked to us a little bit today. You know, we talked about, you know, the direction of some of the depth that they have with their wings and some of their bigs as well. And he kind of preached about, you wanting to focus a little more on positionless basketball, which maybe last year wasn't so much of the case. They had versatility, but I feel like now he wants to open it up a little bit more. Based on what he has on the roster, I think they do have the ability to kind of have that affordability.
Right.
But I like it. I like where they're headed. It looks like the guys are really confident, even with the new faces added, even with, again, the expectation on their mind of building off of what was last season, from 44-38, as well as the first round entry with the playoffs and the Knicks. It looks like they're really trying to capitalize on what could be in front of them. And like Cade said, he said, we're all trying to get a championship out of this thing. And I don't think they're trying to, settle for just, we got here. Like they got high aspirations based on what we've been hearing. So I'm seeing some good energy on the floor. Very, very excited to see what they do when preseason starts. But looks like they're very locked in for, the training camp they didn't really have last season. Guys like Ausar having a full bit, Jaden, Ivey being involved, just everybody being on the floor together. This is one of the more healthy training camps they've had over the past several seasons. And I'm excited, man. Yeah, it looks like they got everything in line for, the progression that they're looking for right now.
Yeah, you mentioned some interesting things we're going to get into later. The biggest thing that stood out really quickly, we'll touch on and get into later, is the versatility piece you mentioned. We know the most important thing this season is the development of the core, right?
Right.
But I think another thing that's going to be really beneficial for this team making that next jump is the versatility that they've added that they didn't really have as much last season, especially coming off their bench. So we'll talk about that a little bit further, but I wanted to highlight that because that was a great point that you made. Before we really get too deep into it, we have a quick clip of some of the guys getting up some shots today. So let's check that out. Man, did y'all see Bobby's jumper? Anybody see Bobby's jumper? Tell me that don't look silky smooth, bro. Looking like MPJ on that jump shot. Not the same elevation, but it looks super clean. Knocked them both down. I think that's going to be the role for him. We're going to get into it, but that's going to be the role for him next year. It's not going to be having a ton of stuff on his plate. It's just going to be just very specific things. So we'll get into that later, but that was kind of the vibe from today. Shout out to all the reporters and beat writers. Eric, you're obviously here with a shout out to you for getting this stuff for us, making sure that we are in tune and up to date and up to speed with what's going on. So did you get a chance to see Bobby at all today, or was he kind of just there and passing?
I saw him. Yeah, I saw him towards the end of practice. Normally when the beat reporters come in, it's after they're done practicing and doing scrimmaging and like the individual drills and whatnot. We don't really have the ability to see that. We kind of come in after that and we see the shoot around that they have, and then we talk to some of the players. What we saw was, what you saw, that area had, Cade, Bobby, I forgot who else was over there. I think Janice was over there as well.
Yeah, Javonte Green was over there.
Yeah, I think Javonte was with him as well, or Danis, excuse me. They broke off normal section they had like last season. I think next to that was Stu. Who else was next to Stu? One of the other shooting coaches, and then next to him was Ron and Ausar shooting with Fred Vincent. That trio is always going to be together. Anytime we shoot around, those three are working together for sure. And then Duren working on the other side, who we're going to talk about in a minute as well. It seemed like they had, a lot of sweat, a lot of hard work. Like, I remember the Lions kind of talking about how hard they work. I think the Pistons kind of have that same kind of energy at their practices where they treating it like, 5-on-5 in like games. It's not just simple walkthroughs. Like, JB's pushing them and making sure that everybody's intentional with, what they need to do. So, that seems to be the energy when we walk in there. And I think that's what they need to get ready for the season.
Just having that plan. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. There's some questions in here. I'm keeping track of these so we can get to these later as they apply. But keep the comments coming, guys. We appreciate you guys really showing up and showing out as you always do. Let's see what we have here. All right, so let's move on, bro. Okay, so let's talk about versatility a little bit more. We talked about it a little bit, but I just really think it's important. And there's two guys that I kind of want to go to who really manifest that all the time in everything that they do and the way they play the game. 9 to 5. 9 to 5, man.
Yeah.
Ausar Thompson and Ron Holland. So Coach Bickerstaff today He said at the media presser on Monday, he said that he fully expects to get Ausar Thompson and Ron Holland more minutes together this season. And here's exactly what he said, because he actually said it a few times. So he said here, and this is from Omar Sankofa, he says, JB said he's certain Ausar and Holland will play together this season. We're expecting both of those guys will take steps, and the way they take steps is if they get opportunities. And just the way the lineups go, they're going to have to play together more, and I expect them to. So that was music to my ears. What were your thoughts when you heard Coach say that?
Yeah, I think that's going to be important. I think it shows two different things. It shows that they want to turn up the energy on defense for sure. Again, having Ausar in the starting lineup is going to be big, but after that, it kind of gets a little, I don't want to say quirky, because, you have Cade, who's a pretty good defender, but how much you want to lean on him defensively is a question, because he's your primary guy and your ball handler. So that means Ron is going to have to come in and turn up the energy when Cade sits down or when Ivey sits down or whatever they decide to do. It also shows that they plan on doing some things different offensively as well. I talked to Ausar during media day and asked him, how it felt to be the primary ball handler, work with the offensive sets as the table setter for the team. And he said he likes doing it. And he said he wants to get used to being able to do it, even when, because when he did it, it was, I think the one immediate game I'm thinking of is the Sixers game late in the season when Cade got hurt, Tobias was hurt, and Ivey was hurt as well. And it was an ESPN game, if I'm not mistaken. And Ausar was the one running the show. He was out there controlling the flow of the offense, dictating the pace. And he said he wants to be able to do that again, even if guys are healthy or whatever the team asks him to do. So, being able to have Ron and him on the floor, I think will give them that ability to do so, because I don't see a whole lot of, time with Ron being their primary, ball handler. I think Ausar is going to have a lot on that on his plate, and I think he's capable of doing so, especially considering how much we've heard about him working on his ball handling skills. So, yeah, I love this, man. Again, the Pistons, two of their biggest identities in terms of offense is transition buckets and the pick and roll duo between Cade and Jalen Duren. And to be up and down the floor, I think, is their biggest key. And considering how much athleticism and speed that they have, those two are going to be the primary focuses of it, along with Jaden, Ivey, along with Cade, and even Duren as well. He talked about being able to just grab the ball off the glass and just pushing it up the floor. Yep. So we're going to be seeing them do a lot of different things this year compared to last season, where it was kind of just fill in with what you need to do. And now they might try some different things based on what the roster looks like. So I'm kind of excited to see how that goes for them.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to create as much unpredictability as they can on both ends of the court, even with how they defend. I think that's going to make it harder for teams, because we have so many guys who can do so many different things. So even though they'll have foundational things that they do, I think they'll still have additional things that they can kind of pop during the game when they need it to really make it hard for teams to really combat that. So yeah, I love the versatility. I love how broad and how much range this team has as far as different abilities. I think they can come together really well. It's funny because Coach talked about at some point, he said it's possible that we could play 5 guys who are 6'8" at the same time, 6'8" or taller. So obviously he's talking about Cade. People say Cade 6'6". He's talking about Cade. He's talking about Ron, obviously Ausar. He's talking about those guys and being able to play with a Stu or a JD or a Tobias. So that's kind of scary to think about when you can really go big if you need to in certain situations. And I think he just wants that versatility once again, just the optionality to be able to do whatever he wants regardless of the situation. And when you can do that, you're hard to beat. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that helps make life easier for guys like Ron and Ausar as well. I mean, just having guys like Cade Cunningham as well, who he's obviously the focal point of what this franchise does, but he's adaptable as well. It's not like a Luka situation where Luka needs to have the ball in his hand, where he doesn't really play a whole lot of off ball unless he's posting up. Like Cade is willing to say, hey, all right, you got it? Cool, I'm running up the floor. Oh, you got it? All right, I'm running up the floor. One of my favorite plays last season was the Lakers, where I think it was Ausar got a strip and Ivey gets the ball and he's running a fast break and Cade is running up telling him to throw it and he catches the lob. I like seeing Cade play off ball, even though I'm not the one trying to push him to be a 3 like we heard for so many years. But I like his ability to play versatile, and I think having that with your point guard makes it a lot easier for everybody else. It lets Ivey bring the ball up. I mean, again, even when Duren was able to do so as well. I don't like it becoming, so repetitive, but he does have the comfortability to be able to bring the ball up and be a decisive passer as well.
Right.
So yeah, it may take a little while to kind of round out consistently with what they're asking for, because they're going to find out, okay, I'm good at this. I can feel here. My, comfortability on this wing is here. Like, just those simple little things may take a few games to kind of put together, but I like that they're not going to be opposed to trying it early in the season,
Right.
Based on what they have right now on their roster.
I agree. It's going to be some turnovers, some careless turnovers at times, miscommunications, things like that. But I don't think the coaching staff is going to put too much on their plate as far as trying to branch out, because they want to grow these guys gradually. And I think they're going to do it in such a way that the things they added, they're really good at by the time you get to the playoffs.
Right.
So that way you're not still trying to figure anything out, and at the same time you've grown. You got that balance. So I think that's going to be the approach. And if that happens, it's going to be a good situation. Somebody mentioned 9-2-5. Ausar, Cade, Ron. I like that. 9-2-5. That's low key though. I could see that could be it. That's put it on a t-shirt. But I could see it. Ausar grabbing the board, pushing the outlet to Cade, Ron for the alley-oop. I could see it. I can see it. Definitely. Let's get a few more comments in here. Devon says the 9-to-5 Pistons could be like going to work part 2. I think we might have to make something outside of Ron. Sorry, there we go. We got 9-2-5, Devon. Both got you covered right there. So definitely. Let's move on to a few more comments. Let's see. Sharon says fast break involving Ivey, Ausar, and Ron will be deadly. 100%. The amount of speed that we have on this team now on the wings, I think, is unmatched as a group.
And they all see it too. Yeah, they talked about. I asked Ausar, because we haven't seen a whole lot of Ausar and Ivey playing together, and I asked him, what's it gonna be like to have that, that speed? And I think you put the video up where he said, like, hey, Ivey's one of the fastest dudes I've ever seen in my life, and I know I'm fast too. So it's gonna be absolute havoc trying to keep up with those two, and then Ron coming at you too. Having Cade being 6'7", Duren coming on the other side being a 7-footer, like. They have a lot of options to kind of pose a good threat. And again, it's all based on the athleticism that they have. They're not playing out of their body. They're playing with their specialty and their, what they provide. So it's going to be very important for them. I'm like this.
You touched that, bro. You touched on that as far as what Ausar said about Jaden. That's crazy. Like, considering who's saying that.
Right.
He said he's the fastest person he's ever seen. Like, not in the basketball, just period. He's one of the fastest guys. Jaden is one of the fastest guys he's ever seen. He's like including himself. Like, I'm one of those guys too. Him and his brother, it's not too many people who they probably seen who are at least as fast as them or have the speed that they have. So I thought that was cool that he was raving about that. We didn't see that at all last year. We did not get opportunity to see that at all. They didn't start one game together. They had no overlap as far as getting starter minutes together at all. Right. So it's just nice to see how excited he is about getting on the break and creating easy hoops, turning defense into offense, which is exactly what they want to do, right? Yep. We have the perfect guys for that, and we didn't see it at all. So especially when they were at their peak, we didn't see it, right? So,
right.
Eric, you and I, we talked about this last week, bro. Just about how these two guys are going to help each other.
Yes.
On both ends of the floor. I think predominantly Ausar is going to help Jaden out defensively, and Jaden's going to help Ausar offensively.
Definitely.
I think both of those guys are going to get better at the things they're not as good at just because the other's on the floor.
Yeah.
And we didn't see that at all, for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's important to keep in mind. Again, while people are so concerned about certain deficiencies that both of them have, you have other guys around them that can kind of make that a little less of a problem. Like,
right.
Knowing that Ivey can create his own shot, create shots for others, is going to be able to set up the table easily for guys like Ausar, where he doesn't have to. Again, it's one thing to just have your own jump shot. It's another thing to have to create your own jump shot too. And I don't know if they're asking Ausar to do that right now while he's working on the mechanics, his confidence. Like, you want to be able to gradually get to those points. And having Ivey is going to help him with that. Being next to Ron is going to help him with that. Being next to Cade is going to help that. And then again, like we talked about defensively, Ivey is going to be able to not have as much responsibility on his plate, even though we both agree that I think he did a great job in certain spots, with like guarding guys like Trae Young on an island, guarding guys like Darius Garland on an island. Like, he stepped up when he had to. He made plays in passing lanes and was able to still be productive with the identity that they want, which is in transition. So, again, they did good with it last season. I think they were one of the 10 best teams in transition points. I think they're going to be top 5, if not better, next season based on the depth that they have now and the experience that they have and will put together as the season goes on.
Absolutely. I think that is well said. So I kind of want to get back to Ron in the Ausar for a second. Because we got to look at both sides of the spectrum.
Yep.
The only way this is going to work is if they both improve their shooting, right? It doesn't have to be dramatic. I'm not saying 15% improvement over one season, but it's got to be significant. It's got to be respectable. The low, to mid 20s, that's got to be improved on. Mm-hmm. And by all accounts, they've been working really hard on their shot. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the progress that they have made so far. So first things first, it's good to see the commitment, the dedication the work these guys are putting in relentlessly. We've heard about them working with Fred Vincent since the beginning of last year. So it's just nice to see that nothing has changed. These guys are taking any days off and they're trying to get as many shots up as they can the right way. To me, it does look like Ron is ahead of Ausar at this juncture as far as with his shot. It just looks more natural. He just looks more comfortable putting the ball up, getting the shot up. It doesn't look like he's thinking. It looks like Ausar is still trying to get comfortable, and that's okay. It's just something that I noticed. I did talk to Ron's trainer, Charles Hill, not too long ago, and he did say that he does expect Ron to make a significant improvement or jump with that shot. So that's good to hear. They've been working really hard. He's been in the gym working on his jumper. So the point for me is if they can both develop a respectable jump shot, bro, just imagine how impactful they can both be on both sides with their size and athleticism, man. The Pistons, they're going to be so athletic, one of the most athletic teams, if not the most athletic team in the league next year. And I think the better they can kind of keep defenses honest with their shooting, the more I think we'll see these two guys on the floor together, and they will be causing chaos, as Ausar put it.
Yeah, I think the words you use, being respectable, is key. Again, I'm not expecting either of them to become elite shooters anytime soon, right? But respectable means, can you make the defense move? And that's the biggest key that you have to have. Again, Ausar don't have the ability right now to make the defense come crash and stop him. They're going to dare him until they believe it's real. And that's the point that they're trying to get to. Ron, I think, is getting there very soon. I think you see the arc in his shot. It's very fluid in terms of his confidence, while Ausar still can be a little flat sometimes with his. He even talked about that during media day in improving his jumper. He still kind of needs a little bit more of that touch to, make it a little bit more consistent. And then even Ron's body language, like a lot of times that, I didn't really have it on camera, but he's smiling in a lot of his shots. Like he looks confident and ready and excited to get to it, while Ausar is kind of still treating it like a bit of a project, because it kind of is. So I definitely would say Ron is ahead right now. I don't think Ausar will be too far behind. And again, I think it'll translate as well. Again, they also take a lot of times, well, not just threes. I know a lot of these videos that come out are really just the 3-point shooting. They spend a lot of time on free throws as well, which is important for both of them, because that's going to have to be a respectable point as well. They both should be, in my opinion, in like sub 70%. I think anything lower than that is unacceptable from a wing, especially knowing that they're going to be driving to the lane a lot and trying to get to the hoop. So teams are going to put a body on them. They're going to club them. They're going to try to stop them and make sure they can't get no free chili at the rim. So in order to make that happen, they're going to have to make them pay with free throws, mid-range jumpers, have the touch, away from the rim. And I think we'll slowly see that develop as time goes on.
Man, for sure. I'm looking. It's just the possibilities are endless with these guys because they still haven't really figured out all they can do. But we already see the projection and the ceiling that they have, potentially they have. Muffin says Ron looked good in that clip. Yeah, he looked good. And who was it that mentioned Summer League? Someone mentioned Summer League and how he was really. Where is it? I want to find it because it was a good comment. All right. Basically, he was just here. Sarah was saying. Shout out to Sarah, by the way. We're saying Ron teased us with 3 more in Summer League. So looking so much more comfortable already. Yeah, he looked confident in Summer League.
He did.
Last year, you could see he was not as comfortable, and his technique was a little bit different too. His form was a little bit different too. So you could see how much smoother it looks now and just how much more confidence he had just getting him up. And not just getting him up, because we know he has confidence. We saw some games last year, especially early in the season, where he was 0 for 3, 0 for 4. It's like, all right, Ron, we know you ain't scared, but the confidence was never an issue.
Right.
So it's just good to see. He's going to have even more confidence as he starts to knock this down consistently in the league. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for his growth. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ron was my favorite person to talk to during media day. I asked him about his summer league experience. He was cheesing ear to ear, just talking about how excited he was to get out there and not just to get on the court again, but he said he took it on his shoulders knowing, hey, this is going to be my team. Like, there are going to be a lot of things that are on me to prove and to show that I can help the guys around me. I talked about him being more vocal, which he, said he was trying to do, and like just take more charge to show that he can be a floor raiser for his team, even in summer league. We saw with his passing, the defense obviously hasn't taken a drop off in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And his dad even confirmed that he put on some muscle as well. And we could definitely see it. A lot of Pistons put on some muscle over this offseason. So yeah, just those little kind of things kind of add to that kind of confidence in certain areas. And again, knowing that Ron already has that confidence. And I even asked him about, the confidence of not backing down, even when he got to squabble or, step up to an opponent, that all kind of adds into it. He don't really have no fear in anything that he's been through. I think a lot of the things that he struggled with last season have made him who he is now. And, that's really just life in general as a human being. So see that they're evolving in that way as a basketball team, it's beautiful, man. It's really working out and coming along nice.
You mentioned how they all put on muscle. You're right. Like Cade looked bigger. Jaden looked even bigger. Ausar looked bigger. JD looked, I don't know how, but he looked bigger.
Yeah.
Even Ryan looks, we're going to get to him a little bit later. He even looked a little bit bigger. And I'm just thinking about the teams in the East and the guys they're going to have to play against. Guys like, Paolo Banchero, who's pretty muscular guy. So I think they're just preparing for the teams they're going to be facing. And, I can see a guy like Ausar, handling a lot of that responsibility. With Tobias and guys like that. But that's why they're getting bigger, I believe. Just to get stronger, of course, obviously to play defense, but also looking in the East and see who might be in the way and seeing how they can kind of combat that. JT and Jay, I know he's out right now, but him and Jalen Brown, guys like that who are stronger guys, you got to make sure you got guys, bodies to throw at those guys.
Yeah, Trajan talked a lot about that during his session, too. He said, Ausar didn't really have a whole lot of time to get his conditioning up to prepare for a moment like the playoffs last season, kind of being thrown in the fire towards the middle of the year, ramping up. And while he was doing that, unfortunately, it was kind of hard because he didn't have a consistent stretch of, okay, we're playing him. He had a minute restriction for, I think, his first 10 games. Then it kind of went up and down. All right, we're going to play you 20 minutes here. You may play 30, but, he's in foul trouble, so now he can only play, 15 to 20. So it was a lot of fluctuating for him. And I think now being in the gym for training camp and preparing, for these moments, working with the guys off the floor during the offseason, like these are the kind of things to help prepare for those moments. And, we heard that a lot from the veterans last year. Tobias telling us, how he talks to the guys about keeping their body right, how to prepare mentally and physically for the long duration of 82 games plus the postseason. It's a lot that goes into it, and it seems that they're trying to get prepared for it at this very moment, even in earlier training camp.
Got you. Yeah, that's an interesting tidbit there, bro. My city says Javonte will be a dog pound member by season's end. I'm seeing a lot of Javonte talk. We are going to get to Javonte Green a little bit later around Dupree. That's funny. Really quickly before we move on, I wanted to get to this comment here too from Vulture. I thought this was important. Vulture says, I remember him being Ron missing some clutch free throws last year against the Bucks after that game he turned up. Yes. Yep. So here's the thing. And this is why I'm such a fan of Ron. Because when that happened, that could have been a Nick Anderson moment for him. A guy who goes to the free throw line in the big moment. It wasn't the finals, obviously, but in the big moment and just forgets how to shoot the basketball. And he was never, Nick Anderson was shooting 80% before that happened. When he missed 4 free throws against the Rockets, 4 in a row, just needed to make 1. He missed 4. And he was never the same. After that, he dropped to about 60% career after that. So mentally, he just couldn't put it together. Ryan, as Vulture said, went the opposite way. He turned up after that. So once again, we're not just saying this when we say the confidence is there. He's shown it. And he's going to continue to show it as he continues to get better with it. I just want to highlight the mindset because a lot of time we talk about the basketball, the skill, and these things, but the mindset is just as important, and he definitely has what we need when it comes to that for sure. Yeah,
that game is going to be a huge footnote in his development. I remember JB Biggerstaff talking about it immediately after that. He said, that's going to help him after. It sucks right now, but it's going to help him. He's never going to forget that. He's going to find a way to work it and be better. And he was strong, from the line. Shot 75% from the line last season, which is respectable. That's good, for a guy who didn't get a ton of volume from his spot anyway. So that's probably going to go up, and hopefully the averages can go up with it as well. But, yeah, that was huge for him, and, we see why it's, done wonders at this point up to right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to our next topic. Jalen Duren, man. Jalen Duren. Is Jalen Duren developing a jump shot? So during media day interviews, both Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren, specifically said that coach is giving them more of a green light to shoot the basketball more. And from what I'm seeing, it looks like JD is wasting no time with that. JD out there think he's Tim Duncan, man. Going glass like that. Listen. I want to first of all give you credit for that because that was actually you standing right there getting that for us. So I want to shout you out for that. Guys, make sure you guys are following Eric. We're going to get to that later. But Top Title Detroit, go follow him. Pause the video, follow him, come back. All right, but we appreciate you, bro, as always.
Of course.
I don't know if you remember, bro, but I've said multiple times in the past few months that I wanted JD to work on a mid-range jumper.
Mm-hmm.
Not a 3-ball, right? Just a 10 to 15-foot jumper. And just how much it could open up the rest of the offense out of the pick and roll. Like I've always said his name. I just think about Jermaine O'Neal with the Pacers. I know a lot of fans don't like him, and I understand why. But as a basketball player, he was a killer. He used to kill us in the pick and roll, pick and pop, because he was a good screener, and he would often like to pop instead of roll. And, that will kill us because when you got Ben in the paint, it's harder to roll, right? But it's a little bit different. So he would use the midi and he would pop. And that's kind of what I see for JD. Even if you don't like O'Neal, think Tony McDyess. That was what he did. Pick and pop from the corner, top of the key. He was knocking down the 10 to 15-foot jump shot. So I think that JD can add that to his game, and I think he can develop that consistent 10 to 15-footer. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, somebody else that, Pistons fans should know very well in terms of that range is Antonio McDyess. That's another guy that had that just in his pocket. Like, we saw a little bit of trace of that when Duren was boom, right? The comment right there. We saw when he was with Memphis. Yep. We saw him when he had it there. And he even mentioned working with Rasheed Wallace when he was in college and how he still keeps in contact with him now, who's, somebody that, if anybody that's a big that can help you out with getting your shot right, it's Rasheed Wallace. So having him in his ear and, as an assistant, that's huge for him. But I love it. Again, I'm 100% with you. I don't want to see him. I like that he has the green light, but have it within reason. Like, he shouldn't be shooting threes right now. Like, kind of like I remember when Andre Drummond, said he had the green light and he was going to start investing in that. That got a little too much. Again, I love Andre Drummond, nothing but respect for him, but it didn't really seem like a natural transition in his game. It seemed like it was very forced. This seems very natural for Duren. Again, when I was covering him last season and the year before, he's been working on that jumper a lot. This is not something new that he's just starting now. He's always had this in his bag, and now he's hopefully going to ramp up and add that a little bit more to their half-court sets. Again, it looks fluid. I like that he's getting off the glass like little KG or Tim Duncan style. Again, the form is there. It doesn't look like he has a broken jumper at all. He's a confident free throw shooter as well, and that's only going to make him that much more dangerous, being the Pistons big man for the future.
Right. Shannon has an interesting question. She says, maybe you can help us, Eric, with this. Who are the guys who pass the basketball to the players so they can shoot it in practice? I always wondered that. Is that strength and conditioning coaches or trainers?
Yeah, just trainers and like coaches and assistants that they work with. Those are the guys that they are with during the pre-games as well. The pass to the guys, be the defensive body that they need. They'll hold the body bags to like bang Duren when he's on the block, just to work on just simple little things. But yeah, just simple people that help them with their the practice areas and whatnot.
Great question for the classroom, Shannon, for sure. Mr. Massetti says, how can I get that job? Right. Marvin says, Lloyd Vaught. Y'all remember? I do. I do remember Lloyd Vaught.
What a drop.
I like that. I like that for sure. Sarah says, love the McDyess comp. Ricky says, that McDyess baseline jump. Yes, it was automatic.
Bruh, you couldn't stop it.
You could not leave him.
No.
And that's what allowed the guards to do what they wanted to do. They couldn't help off, man. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just going to say, whenever you had him lined up there, you knew he was going to pull too. If he had a step and he was wide open, which it seemed like he was a lot of the time, but he could also post out of it too and spin and get that jumper as well. Dice had a great transition dealing with those knee injuries and whatnot. Transitioning into that mid-range shooter after, that was a really good spot for him. And doing it in Detroit was great too. Wish he would have got a ring, but
I know he was so close, just a few minutes away.
Yeah,
I know.
man. Yeah,
he just didn't have enough. He didn't have enough bench guys with him.
Facts.
Him and Lindsey, right? That was pretty much
it was that. Just
that was really all we had.
Carlos Arroyo.
Oh man, Carlos Arroyo. I haven't heard that name in years.
Right.
Man, oh man. But yeah, I definitely think that'll be huge. And I think for him, having a point guard like Cade who can make every pass,
yes,
regardless of how the defense is trying to defend it, right? We've seen him do with the lobs, but Cade is very good at getting the basketball to you however he needs to. Bounce pass, it doesn't matter. Chest pass, he can get it to you. And I think that's a big reason why JD was saying or has said that every offseason he goes to wherever Cade is and tries to get in at least a couple of weeks of work with him. Because he wants to have that, because he understands how good he is of a point guard and how unselfish he is. And that, if JD improves his skill set, it's only going to help his offensive game because Cade is already going to help him. So I just think them adding these things incrementally, season over season, we're going to do this. Next season, we're going to do that. Just building blocks. And someone says stepping stones in the chat. That's exactly what it is. So that way you're not trying to do too much come playoff time, and now you're kind of back at step one.
Right. Cade understands that too. He was talking in media day about, he talked a lot about his leadership and being able to teach everybody else. But he says, I can't teach if I'm not also learning. So if I'm not putting myself out there learning where guys like their shots, how they get off of screens, where the areas that they're most comfortable, where they're not most comfortable, like all that information is important. And he's patient enough to understand that instead of, I need you here. Like a lot of players, I'm not going to mention no names, but there are players who do kind of play like that and have had that, through their career. Cade is good enough to kind of adjust to how other guys around him are able to get their production, and that kind of goes with the positionless basketball and the versatility that we were talking about as well. And that's only good, like you said, make them more unpredictable and a lot more dangerous in the East.
100%. Sarah says, a consistent JD jump shot is scary. Use it the same way Stu will expect to use his 3-ball, 100%, unexpectedly to throw off the defense. Yeah, Stu has an advantage because he shot 40% 2 years ago in his first season, which is incredible, having never really been out there consistently before in his life. So he can definitely build on that when it's there. Not a ton of attempts, maybe a couple a game. I'm with that just to keep the defense honest. That's what will really help this team. So I definitely agree with you there, Sarah. Ricky says Carlos Delfino. Yeah, thumbs. They called him thumbs because when he would run, he would always run like this with his thumb out. That was literally his name. That was his nickname.
Yes, they did. He run off like this. They had the teaser videos for him playing at the Palace for when he was going to come over from Argentina. Like that.
Yes.
He
was supposed to be the next Ginobili.
Oh my God, that's exactly how they branded him, and that did not work out that way.
He became the next Ginono.
Yeah, that did not happen, not at all.
A little bit further, bro, on the pick and pop and with JD, because I just feel like that's so important, man. I was just thinking about just how much that will improve the offense overall. Like in the half court, just developing, that midi, it will really force the defense to be more honest. Like once Cade attacks and gets 2 feet in the paint. Because the pick and pop with JD is gonna give him more room. So we know how well it worked last year with the with the pick and roll and in the lob, but teams now have film on that.
Right.
So with the consistent jump shot now, you'd have another threat outside of the lob to go along with the other shooting on the floor. So it'll also allow JD too, who is a good passer for a big man, by the way, to find cutters easier off the catch. Right, because the paint won't be so clogged with him stepping out on the perimeter because they're going to pull into him if he's knocking it down. So guys like Ausar who are cutting, it's going to be so much easier to get the ball to those guys because they're going to be more attention on JD and worrying about his jump shot. And we saw it worked well last year without the jump shot. So if he adds that, it's just going to open up so many things in which, like you said, the unpredictability is going to make this team really hard to defend. So just want to point that out for sure.
Yeah, teams started to figure that out too. You saw the Knicks collapse a lot on Duren when he was rolling to the hoop. It wasn't a whole lot of Cade to Duren lobs, during that series against the Knicks.
Right.
So they were really collapsing a lot of those passes, deflecting them, and getting their own transition opportunities. So now if you have an opportunity where Duren can step back and open that floor for Cade, and again, you either get in the open shot, which is hopefully improved by Duren, or you get wide open paint space for Cade, who is their best post player, to just abuse his defender. Like it's a win-win, assuming that the jump shot comes along. But just having that option again just makes them a lot more dangerous. And I'm happy to see Duren is working even harder on it and a little more consistent with it as well.
Right. I totally agree with that, bro. Okay, so let's move on to a guy who I kind of feel like is being overlooked, bro. Caris Levert, bro. I feel like Caris Levert, his signing, and I said it before, I feel like the amount of attention it's getting is the amount of attention that Bees got last year. Like, oh, okay, hold on, cool.
Right.
But in retrospect, we see how great of a signing that was. I'm not saying it's going to be the exact same. I'm just saying I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised with how well he plays for this team. And I've said it before, man, like his versatility is going to be so super key, in my opinion, to this team taking that next step. With regard to that, Coach Bickerstaff actually commented on that. He said, when asked JB about Caris Levert, did Omari Sankofa, shout out Omari. He said, he can initiate offense and he's really good as a second side attacker. We're going to use his versatility, but he can do so many different things and not just for himself. Having spent so much time with him, he's a really good playmaker and passer. So just based on what he had to say there, do you have a reaction to Coach's statements about Caris Levert?
Yeah, he's really excited about having him aboard. Caris is going to be able to offer a lot to this team. And again, just kind of going off what we keep rolling with the positionless basketball, him being able to bring the ball to the floor, him being able to kind of help set up the young guys and, put them in their spots to, knock down the shots that they need to, I think is going to be huge for them. Again, I think kind of what we talked about last time as well, sitting next to guys like Holland, who's still a bit raw offensively, a guy like Caris who has moves, has packages to, create his own shot. Whether it's going to the hoop or as a jumper, I think he'll be able to pick off and learn that, as a second-year player. I really liked Caris when he was with Brooklyn. I think that was really his best form. I know he got better and averaged a few more points when he was with Indiana, but I really liked him when he was with the Nets. I think he was a huge piece for what they had before they kind of exploded that off and traded, their pieces for what they got with, I think, Kevin Durant. But I like him. I really like his game a lot. I definitely do think he is kind of slept on. I think it's unfortunately due to a lot of injuries he's had as well, because I don't think he's really played. I don't think he's had an 82-game season in his career, if I'm not mistaken.
I think last season he was relatively healthy.
Okay.
He just played for two different teams. So when you look at the games played, it looks like 60 or 40 and 20, right, when in actuality it was 60. So that's true. I made that mistake before. So
that's correct. Yes. So he's hopefully shedding that history because they need him to be on the floor. The Pistons need him in terms of the depth that they have. Again, defensively, it can't just be Ron and Ausar, locking up everything. I think Caris is going to be very engaged. Cade will be engaged. And I think him as a veteran on this roster, he'll help hold everybody accountable and make sure everybody's in their proper spots. So I really like him a lot on this team. I definitely agree that he's a bit slept on. And I think he has a huge opportunity to kind of turn that around like the other veterans did last season. I'm really confident that he, of the ones that they've picked up, will be the one to shine the most for the Pistons this year.
Right. I think that's a great point. Everybody, show some love for Mr. Ron Holland Sr., who is in the building, coming back around, showing love. What's going on, family? Hope you're doing well, man. We just got done talking about your son and what we expect from him next season. We think he's going to have a great year next year. Yeah, man. So looking forward to next season. When to shout you out. Go ahead. What you got?
I think Ron, we need you on the 9 to 5 t-shirts, man. Get that branding going. We need to see those 9 to 5 t-shirts popping at LCA.
So Ron Sr., how do you feel about that nickname, the 9 to 5? Now that Ron has his number back.
That's so cool. I love that name. That's so cool.
Yeah, me too. Somebody in the chat said 9 to 5, meaning Ausar, Cade, Ron. So how do you feel about that, Senior? Let us know. And y'all show some love for sure. Definitely showing love. All right. For me, bro, with Caris, I think I enjoyed watching him play the most with Cleveland because it felt like he was playing both sides of the basketball. Even going back to Michigan, he really wasn't he could play defense, but he didn't have the mindset to play defense, right? But watching him with Coach now in Cleveland, then he just seemed more committed to that end. He was exerting more energy on that end. And I think that's what's going to make him good here, is that he is really committed to playing two-way basketball. He said he really hadn't even, when he first got here, he really said that he hadn't really played much defense in the NBA in his career before going to Cleveland. And he said that's when he felt like he played his best ball because he was a two-way player, which is something that we have, a lot of right now, which is great. So for me, though, too, offensively, his ability, and Coach talked about it, just the ability to play on or off ball. He can just kind of get in where he fits in. He can be a chameleon. And he did that at a high level with both Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. when he played with the Cavs. I think that's going to make for a seamless fit for him here when it comes to having to play alongside guys like Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, especially considering he already played for him for a couple years. So it shouldn't take him that long to get acclimated to what is required of him. But his size and versatility, that's something that coaches talked about. He over and over again, and Trajan, they both say it. They want that versatility. And today, he actually provided more evidence, did coach, of that. But before we get there, what are your thoughts on Caris Levert and his two-way? Do you think he has the two-way ability? I think he has shown that in his size, being 6'6" and having a longer wingspan than a guy like Tim Hardaway, and having the willingness. I think that will kind of help this defense when they go to the bench. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he was the last person to talk during media day, and he kept emphasizing how excited he was to be a part of that side of the floor, because he said JB was the one that really emphasized that in his game and brought that out of him. And knowing that that's the Pistons' identity of how they want to be able to generate points in production, he wants to be a part of that, and I think that's huge. Especially for looking at the Pistons roster last season, they didn't have a whole lot of point generators off of the bench. Ron was fantastic at it, but that was more so in transition. And again, he was still pretty raw, so it didn't look like it was just him playing ISO by himself. It was more so just an open space, kind of getting his own. Caris, I think, again, offensively, he can kind of offer that balance, create his shots for the bench, create shots for others as well. When normally last season it was a lot of just shooters that were coming in, like Beasley being a shooter, Fontecchio being a shooter, even Sasser, who's really not much of a passer. He's more of just a shooter for himself. And now seeing that you have a guy like Caris, I think he helps elevate not just his own game, but the guys around him as well. And defensively, I definitely think he'll be able to be locked in, especially when he's playing with Beef Stew behind him. He'll have Duren behind him.
Facts.
And other guys that are going to be committed as well. We talked about how important communicating was while they were out there. And he said as long as they have that, they'll be able to take those steps needed as a unit. And I think we'll be able to see that for sure.
That's a great point. Once again, I wanted to get to, when we come back around to Ron Sr., he says, I feel like it's fire and it's time to go to work. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know that.
Indeed.
And then he said, appreciate the love, family. Good takes as always, fellas. I appreciate the cosign, brother. We try to do what we can. So it's always nice to have the cosign and the support of you guys, man, for sure.
Definitely.
So appreciate you, Ron, for sure. Okay, man. So we talked about versatility a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And offensive and defensive. And Trajan and JB have both talked about that at length, as I mentioned. They want size. They want that versatility on both sides. Being able to switch 1 to 4, sometimes 1 to 5. That's the kind of flexibility that they want.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know there have been a lot of questions about, if the Pistons are going to get this guy, they're going to get that guy, they're going to get a backup point guard, they're going to get a backup power forward. We've heard that, right? And I think those are valid questions.
Right.
And today, JB responded to that.
We don't need to have guys that are just one position. We feel like we have a bunch of guys that can play positionless basketball, and it helps their skill set. So what we'll do is just put, the combinations that we see that work best for us, and we're not worried about, having a backup 1 or a backup 2. We're trying to get talent on the floor.
So Eric, I'll let you go first. What's your immediate reaction to what he had to say about that?
I loved it because I think now is the time to embrace that. I think if you look at this core and a lot of the other guys that we've seen come and go since Cade was drafted here, they didn't really emphasize. I don't want to say they didn't, but they did emphasize a lot of positionless basketball. Like there were moments where you would see Killian bringing the ball up and Cade playing off ball, or Stu playing 2 different positions. Yeah. Like you would see a whole lot of like kind of mixing and matching and figuring things out. And I think when you have a young team that's learning how to win, I think that can be a lot on them. I feel like after kind of seeing the success that they had, and JB talked about it as well, he said you want to perfect what you're great at or what you're good at or trying to be good at before moving to this position. And I think now, after seeing a playoff run, after stepping up to a team like the Knicks, who got as far as the ECF, pushing them 6 games, competing all 6 games, establishing an identity like he said he wanted to, by March, and, having that as, their focal point, now it's okay to kind of expand and have that versatility. And when you have veterans like Caris Levert, When you have guys like Cade, when you have guys like Ausar, where their talents aren't really just suited for one position alone, you can kind of try some different things and it makes sense, especially when you're taking on different teams and you may want to tinker with the roster and, try different ways to attack what their weaknesses could be. I think now is the time to work on that. So I loved hearing that from him, as soon as today. He said he doesn't like always how it's like become just like kind of like a open like YMCA kind of style flow where people just shooting threes and not really having the cohesion. But I think again to kind of go what we're talking about, you want to be unpredictable and you want to keep your opponents guessing at all times. And I think having that unpredictability and that versatility, I think is going to be huge in a positionless roster where again they're not just experienced now at this point. They're, bigger, being able to run a lineup that's 6'8" and up through 5 guys. That's terror for a team to deal with. So, yeah, I think that's going to be huge for this team. And I think that's going to be a big part of what we see in their success.
For sure. That was one of the closest 6-game series I've ever seen. 6-game series in the history that I've been watching basketball. Sarah says this all the time. They lost that series by a combined 6 points. It doesn't get any closer. So it's going to say 6 points when you go back and look at in history. Look at those scores.
Yep.
Look how close those games are and watch the games. Don't just look at the box score. Watch those games and see how close that series actually was. So, yeah, I wanted to point that out for sure. And we have a lot of good players on this team. I've seen all different kind of names. I'm not just seeing one. Duncan Robinson, Dennis Jenkins, Tolu Smith, 100%. Got a great motor. He was on the show. Shout out to Tolu for sure. All these guys play the same way. They all play hard. So that's a great thing. And as far as what Coach said about that versatility, once again, this tells me that guys like Caris Levert is going to play point along with Cade, right? Along with Cade, along with Jaden, along with at times Sasser, Dennis Jenkins, right? It also tells me that guys like Paul Reed is going to play power forward. Bobby Klintman, power forward. Even at times, Ron Holland, power forward. And honestly, that's not something I really wanted to see, to be honest, because I thought Ron was more of a 2-3. And you said this too, more of a 2-3 than a 3-4. Yeah. But from what I remember, maybe Senior can confirm this, but I remember him posting to his IG story that it was a picture of his scale. And I think it just said 15 or 15 pounds, something like that. So he like we talked about, all these guys are getting bigger. He got bigger. Maybe that was part of the reason why. So in certain situations, if you're playing against a small ball bench, for example, you have a guy like Ron who can play and switch and play whatever you need him to play regardless of the situation. Having that versatility again. So it's not going to be like he may not be the permanent backup forward, which I don't see anything like that, but just having the ability to be adaptable. Guys get in foul trouble. I got you. I got him. No worries. Just having that ability to do that, I think is very, very important. And so, yeah, I like it too, because it also makes it hard to scout. Because you don't know what you're getting on the individual night. It's all going to be left up to the situation and circumstance. So once again, that makes it hard to defend. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're up for the challenge as well. Again, I like bringing up this game a lot because the home game, I think the second time they played the Celtics at home, we saw Cade Cunningham match up against Kristaps Porzingis, guarding him in the post.
Right.
That's all a part of the adaptability and the unpredictability. Like, you look at this team, they're not just, tall and big in size. They got crazy wingspans as well. Even Ivey, like when people talk about, his defensive deficiencies or whatnot, he's still not a guy that you can just hunt out and say, okay, we're going to pick on Ivey today. Like,
right.
No, you can't. Ivey's huge. Like,
right.
You got to work to get past him. You got to work to like kind of get him out of his scale or where he's supposed to be. So I think they have a lot of that at their, at their disposal. Huge wingspan on Ausar, huge on Ron Holland. Like, a lot of these guys are going to be committed to, defending that paint and contesting as many shots as possible. I think that's one of their biggest, points of emphasis on the defense is make sure we can at least get a hand up there.
Right.
Like, can we at least make them contest? We saw a lot of that in the playoffs last season. Like, a lot of those shots that the Knicks were hitting, they weren't just wide open. They were contested 90% of the time, it felt like. So I really like to see that effort, and I think it's going to be a lot more, punctual now that they kind of understand, their spacing a little bit better, have time to work with each other in training camp, and, they'll have time to develop it as the season goes on as well.
Yeah, you mentioned wingspan. JD, 7'5" wingspan. Like you mentioned, a lot of these guys are tall and long, right? If they're not the tallest, like JD 6'10", 6'11", maybe he's grown, maybe he hasn't, right? But he's at least 6'10", 6'10", and he's long, so that helps. You mentioned also when Cade was guarding Zinger in the post.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen him do that even as early as his rookie season in the NBA when he was shutting down Evan Mobley in the post.
Yes.
Yeah, we know Evan Mobley's not the biggest guy, but he's got inches on him, as far as his height, right? So we saw that early. But when you have a brother, a literal brother, who was built similarly to Mobley, right? Similar height in Cannon Cunningham, 6'10", right? Mobley's a little bit taller, but I think Cannon's 6'10" and 6'11". When you got to guard that growing up, and you're guarding bigger guys all the time growing up, you pick up a thing or two along the way on how to do it.
Did you see that overtime interview that they had where they was going back and forth with each other? And Cade was talking about, I used to be a big, but I transitioned to guard. And, I'm comfortable being out there. He's like, yo, I like, his brother was talking trash. Like, you don't want to see me on the block. He's like, bro, I've never been a mismatch. Like, if you want to come see me down there, come see me. It is what it is. It was cool to see big brother, jawing back and forth. But it was cool to see Cade like, yo, I'm good down there. Like, you want to throw me down there? I'm fine doing that for a game if I have to. If that's what I got to do, I'm built for it. And we've seen that. You can't just bully Cade on the block. We see him do it to other people. I've never seen them do it to him. Like, that's a big plus for his game.
I watched that a few times when it first came out. Because I'm a little brother. I have one brother and he's older. Mm-hmm. So I understood how Cade felt in that situation a little bit. Like, no, I can guard you. But nah. And Candace, it's funny because Candace said, I get off the couch right now. And I'll embarrass you.
No reps. I get off the couch. I love that line.
And it's funny because if you pay attention, you can hear little Cade come out. Because Cade's got a deep voice, naturally, right? But when Candace was like, I'll embarrass you. He's like, and Cade's just like, you might score a couple times. You might score, and his voice kind of got high, like the little brother came back out again.
His brother said embarrassed. He didn't even look at him. He just stared down. He said embarrassed. That was so funny.
Yeah. And then he mentioned how he's like, I'm bigger. You're more so trending towards being a point guard now. It's different. But he's like, no, in my prime, bro, you couldn't guard me. And Cade was just kind of like, that's cap. But he knew, right? So it was just cool to see that. But the point is, he's had that all his life. As far as being able to learn and get bullied as a kid to know how not to get bullied in the NBA. So it definitely transferred. Slim Holland says, all facts. Hey, I didn't even realize I said it. I had to throw the pause in there. I know how you are.
They killing you for the inches
comment. Yeah, he would have called me out immediately if I didn't say pause. I already knew that was coming for sure. Devon called me. Yeah, y'all all called me. Marvin said, dude's going to miss. Why are you playing, bro? Bobby Clement for me is going to make it easier to not miss him. Right? I think Bobby Clement's going to do a better job of doing what we needed Tech to do last year. So anyway, y'all get me off course. But yeah, I definitely love the versatility. All right, let's move on. Let's go to, we talked about already. Let's go to Javonte Green, bro. Let's talk about Javonte Green for a minute. A guy that actually for the first time, I think he spoke today for the first time, I think, right? As a member of the Pistons. So we've had him for a while, a couple months, but it was nice to see him in the building, working with these guys. And his jumper in the first clip we showed, he knocked down both of those shots, right? Him and Bobby, but his jump shot is, I think, a little bit underrated. I think he can shoot the ball and spread it a little bit better than most people think because he just haven't seen enough of him. But I'm a fan of Javonte Green. We got to hear from him today for the first time during camp. So let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say and kind of get to know him a little bit.
I look forward to just being tough, like you could take somebody, or like take them out the game, something like that. It's something that brings me happiness, like make somebody quit. So I just feel like that's what these guys bring, and that's what I'm bringing for.
He's gonna fit in just fine. It makes me happy to take your soul, take your heart, and make you quit. You don't hear that too often today, bro.
No.
It sounds like somebody took him from the 90s, bro, and just inserted him here in the 2025. Just that mentality that I want to take your heart every time I step on the court. We got guys like that on this team already. We just talked about Ryan, right? Him and Stu are the epitome of that. So having another dog, a big guy, strong guy, athletic guy, tough-nosed guy, I love it. What are your thoughts on Javonte Green? What did he say?
Yeah, he's extremely motivated. One of the first few things he said when we were talking to him is he's looking for a home. This is his fifth team that he's been on. He's looking for a place to kind of, find somewhere that he can build on in his career. He also talked about how he believes his skill set fits perfectly for what they do. I don't mind being, rugged, playing dirty, playing defense, playing in transition. I'm athletic like a lot of other guys around here. Like, I think a lot of what he provides is what they have on this team already. And it's important to have that. And you've seen, even if guys like aren't playing, 15, 20 minutes a game, you still can find a way to be impactful. We saw that with Marcus Sasser last season. We saw that with Paul Reed last season. Like, there's different ways and different areas that he can be involved and active. Even when they have the logjam of wings that they have right now, I still think he can find a way to, be a spark when they need it. Because the Pistons don't give up. Even if they're getting blown out, they still find a way to keep fighting. So I like him. I like his game a lot. Super athletic. They asked him about, what's it like to guard Cade and what you see from him. And we talk about not backing down. He said, yeah, he looks good, but, I think I can hold my own if I needed to.
Yeah, I love
so,
it.
it's a lot of confidence within the room, and I think he adds to it big time. I really do hope that this could be, hopefully, successful landing spot for him, because I think he could make some things work based on what the team needs.
Yeah. Sarah says, I look forward to just being tough. That's a fantastic. I mean, who says I look forward? Most guys, I look forward to, they won't say it, but they look forward to getting the ball, getting touches, and getting shots up, getting to the offense. To say I look forward to just being, that sounds like something Stu would say. I look forward to going out there and just being tough and making it hard for everybody and putting a beat on everybody. Like, it's the same kind of mentality. You can't not have too many guys like that. And bro, he's a freak of nature athlete, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you guys have seen any tape on him, but just he has a couple different separate videos on just his dunks.
Right.
And he's not a household name. Mm-hmm. So go check him out. The dude is an athlete. He will fit in just fine with the defense to offense, run and gun style the Pistons love to play. He's going to fit in perfectly for this team. Marvin says, Javonte sounded like he grew up on Dexter's Lab. I'm screaming. That's hilarious. Oh, that's hilarious. That's funny. But definitely a Darvin Ham type of guy. Yes. But with more ability offensively for sure. Right. But yeah, same kind of build and all that. I like that. And for him, he may not be a rotational guy to start the year or anything like that, but I do think he's going to get some opportunities this season. If there's like foul trouble or anything like that, because just his attitude, just his motor, just his intensity defensively, I think those things alone could get a guy like him on the court if he's knocking down open shots. And he can guard the 3, he can guard the 4, and maybe some small 5s, right? Mm-hmm. And you can't have enough guys like that. JB just said he fully intends on using all of these guys at different points, right? Depending on the matchups, depending on the situation.
Right.
So we may see him go 10, 11 deep some nights, maybe even 12, depending on the situation, right? Mm-hmm. So I just love what he had to say. And it reminded me of why I was glad the Pistons brought him here when they first got him. So shout out to Trajan Langdon, man. He knows what types of guys he wants on his basketball team, and they all fit the culture, and they all fit the mold of Detroit basketball, and he goes out and gets them.
Yeah, and I think it's important to find that. Again, it's important to have talent, but it's just as, if not more important, we heard all last season, the buy-in for the culture and the buy-in within the locker room and their camaraderie is just as, if not more important as well. You can have as much talent in the world, but if it's not cohesive and if it's not working together, it's not going to produce what you want it to. We just saw that with the Phoenix Suns over the last few seasons. Right. A lot of talent all over the floor, but it couldn't go anywhere because it wasn't working together. So knowing that they have, what they have, with a guy like Javonte, who again wants to work hard, wants to, establish himself as a household name, he's going to have an opportunity for sure. And JB's not going to be scared as well to give him those opportunities. He's going to be playing a lot like what Ron Holland did last season, just kind of being an energy guy. If we don't have it from the starting 5 right now, or if the bench isn't doing it, okay, we'll try to roll in somebody else. And it's not like a Monty Williams thing where it's just a consistent 13, 14, 15 guy playing. Like, I think he'll find the rhythm that they need in terms of what their rotations will be. So I have all the faith in JB to kind of find that, and I think Javonte will hopefully find a way to, be what they need him to be. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's all I got on day 2 of training camp. If you don't have anything else, there's a couple questions that I wrote down that I didn't want to forget. A little bit separate from what we're talking about. Anything else you got, or you good to move on?
No, let's hit the questions. Let's do it.
Okay, so first question I have here comes from Ricky Sanders, and he basically was asking about Sasser as a point guard. Some comps he had for him. He said maybe B.J. Armstrong, Steve Kerr. I have one guy in mind who I would like to see him try to become. Maybe not that exact player or that caliber of a player, but I'll hold off on that, and I'll let you go first. Do you think first of all that there is a role for Sasser on his team? Because we have heard him say over and over again. He's talked about him being a point guard, himself being a point guard. He said, as a point guard, and we've known him not be that, at least while he's been here. So what are your thoughts on Sasser trying to expand his role or expand his game to trying to be the floor general point guard? And is there anybody in mind who you think will be a good comp for him?
I do think there is a role for him. I think having a guy like Caris Levert helps that because now he doesn't have to just be the guy. And considering that Levert plays as a 2 and a 3, they're not going to be having overlap. Like it's not like when he had Dennis Schroeder, next to him, where you can only really have one of those two guys on the floor at the same time. Like they're both smaller guards. You can't play them both in your backcourt. So having a guy like Levert next to him, I think is going to be huge. And I do think that would create opportunity for him to play his game, not even have to adapt as just a prototypical point guard. I think there can be spots where, like, we've seen him bring the ball up and shoot a 3 in transition or catch it, in transition from Tim Hardaway Jr. or Beasley or whoever else. Like, he's good at kind of adjusting and finding his looks, all over the floor. If I had a comp for him, that's tough. I would say I like the BJ Armstrong one. I would say offensively, maybe not defensively because he was a dog. Yeah. I see a little Mike James in his game offensively. I think they both, had nice jump shots. They were smaller but not fearful at all, or had no fear at all in terms of how they drove or created their looks. And I think defensively he can kind of study off of some of his tape to expound on his game in other areas too. But no, I definitely think there's a spot for him. The team loves him. They're really excited about seeing what he can do. Cade talked about him being much improved in the gym in terms of what we've seen. So, yeah, I definitely do think there's an opportunity. I think that can be a little tough because we saw when you have a ton of young guys, it kind of makes it tough for all of them to kind of find a way to prove themselves. Yeah. Like when they had the James Wisemans, the Marvin Bagleys on top of the other core guys, it does make it a little tough. But I think at this point now, knowing that they have some direction, I think it'll be a little easier for a guy like Sasser. I think he can find his way with the guys that will be around him.
Yeah. Like, dude is definitely talented. Yeah. Like, ridiculously talented. Offensively, and defensively, he's a dog. He's not the biggest guy, but he pretty much gives you all that he can with the size that he has. And I appreciate that. I respect that. I was a little bit concerned before Media Day's presser about what his role may be. Right. Because I just kept hearing, and it's just based off of what Trajan was saying. He just kept saying this offseason, I want defensive versatility, guys who can guard multiple spots. Right. And I don't know how many shooting guards or small forwards Sass can guard comfortably. Right. Even point guards, so some points are just big, right? True. So that was one of the things I was concerned with for him does he fit that mold of what Trajan is looking for as far as having that defensive versatility, right? It would be hard for him to play shooting guard only on this team, in my opinion, because that doesn't give you the defensive versatility that he's talking about. So that was what I was concerned about. But if they do have plans for him to eventually try to mold into more of a point guard, more of a floor general, more of a guy who you have more confidence with the ball in their hands. We saw him last year. They would run certain sets for him. He would run the offense, he'd run a set, and it would look good, and they get a score. But it wasn't consistent. It seemed like he was still trying to learn on the fly. So I think over time, I think he's going to continue to get better and better and better at it. One guy that he said that he has been watching, you're going to love this, TJ McConnell.
Yes, I heard that. Yes, he did.
He's been watching film on TJ. Now, look, Sass is more talented than TJ McConnell. Yes. Right? Yep. But TJ McConnell, his IQ of the game of how to run that point guard spot and understanding what that team needs from him to do so, he's one of the best as far as understanding that for his role. As far as understanding your role, he's one of the best in the league. Yes. Right? As far as supplementary guys, for sure, far and away. But it took time. Yes. It took time, right? He didn't have the natural ability like Sass does to be able to get a bucket whenever he wants. So he had to focus on those things early. So a Sass is just going to take him time to be able to get that. But I think if he studies McConnell, he can be better than McConnell for sure. For sure. No, without question, right? So I would love to see that. Don't flip out on me here. I'm only talking about the transformation, not the player. I see a Chauncey Billups trajectory possibly for him as his ceiling. As far as being a scoring guard who came into the league and didn't know how to play the point guard position. They don't play the same way. Right. But Chauncey, over time, with the right coach, learned how to be a floor general. That's why he bounced around so many different teams. The Nuggets, the T-Wolves, right? The Celtics. He was everywhere. The Raptors. And then when he came here, he finally learned how to play the point guard position.
Right.
But it took time. The first year and a half was a little tough, right? So I'm just hoping that Sasser can have that kind of trajectory as far as understanding how to play the point guard position over time. And I hope he's given the chance to be able to do it. Because if he can get something of that, something of McConnell, something of a chance, something of those guys, you got a really good basketball player in your team that you want to keep around.
Yeah. I think career trajectory wise, I see what you mean. Again, it took Chauncey had an opportunity. He was, starting for a few different teams at a point, but he found a perfect landing spot in Detroit. Even with Minnesota before he got here, he was still pretty good. So I think Sats just kind of needs a little bit more of that opportunity. Yeah. I think he has that now. I think, again, last year, really honestly, a comp I think would be kind of Dennis Schroeder to an extent. I kind of see a little bit of their game. Like when he drives, they both kind of have that floater. Schroeder had a little bit of a more funky jump shot than Sass did, but in terms of confidence, it was right there. And I think towards the end of the year, I remember on Big Sean's birthday was one of the big times or big games that Sass had of his coming out party. And I think he has a lot more of that in him as well. Again, you have a lot of willing passers on this team that are willing to set him up for looks, and he's shown that he can be dangerous in catch and shoot situations, creating his own look. He's really quick and really shifty. Really put his defenders on a heel. So I think that's going to be big for him. Again, if he has the opportunity, I can see that, being a bit of his growing curve for sure.
That game you're talking about, I believe that was against the Bucks. That was when Beasley was still a Buck, and he was giving the Bucks. Yeah, he was giving them buckets, man. He was giving buckets, but the confidence was there. He wasn't thinking at all. He was just going out and hooping.
And that's what you want to see.
That's what you want to see. So we talk about guys adding a little bit to their game this year, right? JD with the jump shot, for example, right? For Sass, it could be learning how to play that point guard position, right? That could be the main, because offensively, he's got everything else. And defensively, he's going to bring it. Right. So if he can just slowly learn from guys like Jarrett Jack and obviously Cade, and I think that will help him a lot. And even Dennis Jenkins to an extent, as far as understanding how to play the point guard position, how to be that floor general, how to make the right decision at the right time. So, and just having the instinct to be able to do it as well, which comes, again, like you mentioned, with time. Exactly. Got to get those reps in. So I've got confidence he can do it, and hopefully he gets that chance for sure. Right. A couple more questions, and then we can kind of close up here. Someone asked, what is a 90s player, 1990s from the Pistons, that you want to see on this team now?
90s player I want to see on this team right now.
Yeah, so 90s, technically you could count the championship roster if you want with Isaiah and those guys. But that kind
so
of
I go back to that. Yeah. The bad boys. I don't know how many bad boys would translate to this team right now. Maybe Vinny Johnson. Obviously the stars I think would be just fine. Zeke could play in any era. Jody could play in any era. Yeah. If I had to go somewhere else, I would probably go. That's a good question. I would say my one of my favorites is talked about Jerry Stackhouse. I think he would fit as a 3 on this team. Yeah. Hey, how about Terry Mills? How about Terry Mills as a stretch 4 for this team? I think that would work. If you had to swap out Tobias or if he couldn't play, you just needed a heater. Terry Mills was a shooter. I think he would fit perfectly on this kind of a team.
Great one. That is a really that was when I was thinking about that, but now that you said it, it kind of confirmed it. Yeah, he'd be a perfect stretch 4, bro.
He would be fantastic on this team. Yeah, he definitely was. Absolutely.
Anybody who doesn't know, look up Terry Mills.
Yeah, if you know. Terry Mills was one of them ones.
Yeah, for sure. Marvin says Theo Ratliff and Junkyard Dog. Okay,
I like JYD. I like that.
Yep. I could definitely see that. Theo Ratliff, he'd be more like you don't have too many Theos in the league now. You got, you got who do you really? You got Gobert. I mean, you don't really have too many guys
Mitchell
who are
Robinson,
Mitchell Robinson, who are limited offensively, but dogs defensively are really effective. I don't want to say dog, effective defensively. Right. Not all those guys are dogs, but anyway. Right. I think Junkyard Dog could definitely play in this era. James Edwards.
Okay.
I think that'd be going too because he could knock down the mid-range jumper to go along with the post game. The post game wouldn't probably be used as much today, obviously. Only a couple guys do that now, Yoke, Sengun. That's pretty much it. Oh, Embiid. But I do think his shooting though. His shooting again. I think the pick and roll would be cool with him to watch for him and Cade. That'd be pretty cool.
I'm here with that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Idea.
Theo over Paul Reed. don't know, because Paul gives you more offensively, bro.
Yeah,
Paul can shoot from long range.
he can, and he was giving a lot of good defensive energy too for a guy that isn't really revered for his defense. Yeah, he was very underrated.
Right. I don't know about that one. I think I might go Paul up right there, but that's a good one though. Heisenberg says Edwards sweet turnaround jump shot for sure. That was money. Don Reed, maybe. Don didn't have much of. He was a little undersized. He was 6'8" playing center, so that wasn't fair to him. The Pistons just didn't have any big guys during that time. Maybe. He's a good role player. All right. Wanted to get that one. I got one more for you.
I like that one.
Let's see. Grant Hill, Cade comp. Is there one that's better?
For Cade?
Yeah. Do you have a better comp for Cade?
Just in the league or like for the Pistons?
Just far as like, is there a better comp for Cade than Grant Hill, period? Like anybody in the history in the game? It's hard because I don't really see, because we haven't really had too many 6'7", 6'8" point guards that can score like this.
Yeah, I don't even like that one. I don't know, man.
Because like Grant Hill was a 3 straight up.
Yeah, I don't like that. I've never liked that comp. I see it a little bit in terms of their size, but Grant was not a point guard at all.
Right.
Like I don't think that fits for him. I don't like the Luka one. I didn't like. Someone said James Harden. Like, there's been a lot of comps for him that I really haven't been that high on. I think
he's a mixture of guys to me. Like, if you want to say G Hill and Brandon Roy or something, if you want to get those guys in the conversation or something like that, then okay, I could see that. But I thought about this for a while. I can't think of one guy. Like Beat says, Scottie Pippen. I don't see that. I don't see Scottie Pippen.
No, not Scottie.
Because Scottie Pippen relied a lot on his athleticism.
Right.
He was one of the best defenders of all time, but he didn't have Cade's offense.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
So it's just
Cade
like,
doesn't
and he's
have his defense, right?
Or I won't even say right, exactly. So to me, they're kind of like opposites. I don't really see that one. The size is similar. They're both like 6'7". I think Scottie was 6'7", 6'8". So similar there, but I don't really see. And there's not really a comp for him. People will say Luka. It's like, come on, what are we doing? Stop.
Yeah,
Stop. Just because they're big and have
go for that.
You know what I'm saying? It's different. Yeah. Devon says Cade's comp is him. Right.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I think what I said before, it just don't even really fit now that I'm playing it out. Like I thought like I don't even like it. But I'll say it anyway. But to an extent, I can see maybe like in terms of just how they operate offensively, if Paul George was a point guard, I could see that for Cade. But then again, Cade was a way better passer than Paul George ever has been.
Exactly.
So yeah, man, I don't know. It's not a lot of really like accurate comps for Cade Cunningham. I really don't see.
I mean,
a guy that just kind of fits. Again, there are areas he can improve in, but he don't have a lot of weaknesses in his game like some of these guys that we're talking about have. Right. I don't know. That's tough for real.
What about this? Let's stay in our own backyard, and I mentioned his name already. But what if Chauncey was 6'7"?
I mean, Chauncey was known as a big guard. He was a 6'4", 220, played pretty big. Yeah. I mean, that's not bad at all. That's not bad because Cade's not. Yeah. Because then again, like the separator between them is Cade's athleticism, which is mad slept on.
Right.
But
Chauncey could dunk though. I mean, if he had 3 or 4 more inches.
Yeah, Cade is dunking on people though.
You're
Chauncey
right.
can't boom on nobody.
You're right.
We gotta find somebody.
We
gotta find someone that's the most accurate representative, because there are people I think he can morph into. Like I feel like I don't care how people feel about this. I feel like his ceiling could be LeBron. I think if in a perfect world, if he rounds out, I'm not saying like, I think he already has LeBron-like responsibility to this team.
For sure.
Meaning he has to do so much.
Yeah.
But, and again, I'm not saying he's going to be the greatest or like the highest scorer of all time, but
the fact that he
can do so much. Yeah, I know you going to love it. King going to kill me when I say this. But I think the fact that he does so much at an effective level to where it's not a glaring weakness, I think that's why it's best suited for him. But yeah, I don't know. It's that's Cade's a different dude, man, in terms of comparing.
I will say this. I don't listen, LeBron's my GOAT. And you know how I feel about Cade. I will say this though. If Cade had LeBron's athleticism, you're talking GOAT.
Oh man.
You're talking GOAT.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like better rebounder at the time, would be better shooter already. Like you're talking GOAT.
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw some Steve Smith. He didn't play point though. Like I get it.
not
As far as
Steve.
the build, similar. But Steve Smith was just doing that little hezzy spin move to the rim. That was his little move. Well,
Right.
boom, and he go to the rim. He
Right.
didn't really have much ball handling ability. He wasn't a facilitator, really. He was a knockdown shooter, good defender. Right?
Cade has mastered that move now too. That Smitty, and then he goes by him. I love when he hits that move.
His bag is so deep. The in and out. Jaden has been doing. Well, he was doing the Jaden. The Jaden was doing the in and out move. Did you catch that?
I did. Yeah, he's getting a little better with that. I like that. Yeah,
it's almost like Cade has been working with him on that. Because on one play I saw him do it last year, he hit the in and out and got to. I think it was against the Lakers. Go look it up, guys.
Right.
He hit the in and out on Reeves. Got to the hook, and as soon as he did it, Cade stood up. Like, that's what we worked on that. That's it.
I think I see one right here that might be the best one.
What
What
you
about
got?
Penny?
Oh man. Okay, so yes.
That might be it for real. I ain't gonna hold you. Maybe
I think so.
Penny
I
or
don't
maybe
know how I forgot Penny.
Penny or T-Mac. Because T-Mac was a pretty good passer too. Cade is better, but I feel like T-Mac was still a pretty good facilitator too.
Is Cade a better ball handler than T-Mac? I think that's tough.
Yeah,
because T-Mac can handle the ball at 6'8".
He could.
But I think Cade has a deeper bag as far as like going, as far as moves, but as far as getting to where he wants to get to, both of those guys can get to where they want to.
Right.
I would probably go in like a combination of T-Mac and Penny.
Okay.
Because I don't know if Cade has the offense of T-Mac. T-Mac's offense, he was just a 30-point per game scorer every single year. He averaged 33 one year.
That's true.
Like what?
Yeah. T-Mac was different.
He was just a bucket, but he didn't have as much facilitating responsibility. He wasn't much of a playmaker.
That's true.
Right? He could do it. We saw him do it against the Pistons. They were down 3-1. But when Tayshaun Prince came into the game and started, instead of 35, it went down to 25 points per game. You know what I'm saying? So like Cade's better in that aspect, but that's where Penny comes in because Penny was a pass first point guard who can get a bucket whenever he wanted. He just happened to have the most dominant big man playing alongside him.
I think that's
so.
It.
That could be
Penny,
it, bro.
I think Penny is the closest one we're gonna find.
Yeah.
Again, I think Cade is definitely gonna be a better, and probably right now is already a better offensive player. But in terms of just comparisons, in terms of what they both brought, I think that's the closest one probably.
That may be. Who said that? Who said Penny first? Because that's a great one. Shout out to whoever that was.
Yeah, it's right above that comment right there. So I don't know.
Yeah. Shout out to B. That may be. He was my favorite player in the league. I hate to say it, but like I was a Pistons fan. I love Grant Hill, but I always want to play point guard. And so Penny, I would always be torn whenever they play each other. Yeah. And they would go at it. Like there was a time when Jordan retired, it was Penny and it was Grant Hill.
Yeah.
As far as wings, those two guys and then everybody else. So I am not mad at that at all. I love Penny Hardaway. And he does have a lot of those same attributes, man.
I see
If Cade and JD next Penny and Shaq, who knows? We'll see.
Hey,
we'll see.
You see the comparison. I see the vision. I'm here for it.
You know what I mean? For sure. All right. So we had a little fun. So we will end it there, guys. I wanted to get to this really quickly before we get out of here. So someone asked earlier about open practice. If the Pistons were holding an open practice, and the answer is yes. They're holding an open practice at Wayne State University on October 11th. Doors open at 11 a.m. And here are some details for everybody to take a look at here. So it's free admission. Anybody can come out and support. So bring the fam, bring your friends, bring a girl, bring whatever. And I'm going to be there. Eric, I know you're going to be there. Sure. Talk to King. He's going to be there. So if anybody is going, make sure you guys let us know you're going to be there. Come. If you see us, say what up, though. Right? Show some love. We were there last year.
Yes.
And man, I got to shout this out again. Towards the end of that practice, bro, we got a chance to catch a few guys throwing down some dunk contest dunks, right?
Yes.
It was something. It was fun to watch, and there was something that stood out to me, bro, when I was watching that clip. We talked about it before, but there was a particular player that threw down a crazy dunk off the side of the backboard. And just in case you guys missed it, here you go. One more time in case you missed it. Pay attention. That was Mr. Dennis Jenkins.
Yes.
I had no idea he had that kind of balance, bro. I saw him like doing stuff before, but when they started going like that, I'm like, whoa, let me pull my phone out just in case he do something crazy. And Tolu Smith, who's on the show, y'all saw him with his hands on his head, just like this.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he has seen it before, but not quite like that.
Yeah.
Not quite like that. He said a lot of guys were surprised at just how high he got. And shout out Sass with a nice off the side of the backboard pass for him.
Mm-hmm.
But that was incredible. So you guys make sure you come out. Anything you want to add to that, Eric? Go ahead.
Yeah, Dennis, Lamar Stevens, I think, and then Ron. Those were the three standouts of that little dunk contest that they had. Ron Sr., if you're still here, I want you to push Ron to get in the dunk contest. We need a Piston back in the dunk contest. Ron was building up some in our warm-ups last season that I was watching. Like, he had a couple between the legs joints that were fire. Mm-hmm. I think he will be a fun contestant in the dunk contest. Ron Sr., if you can get in his ear and make that happen, I think Detroit would be appreciative of that.
Nah, you know what? Because Ron is a ham. You could tell, bro.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
He
go fool. He'll do a little dance after, too. Like, Ron gonna have fun with it.
He would. Yeah, he definitely he would get up for that too. Him being as competitive as he is and him engaging the crowd. Like I definitely think he could kind of command the arena a little bit if he's able to complete some dunks. He's got the balance for it too. We've seen him in Summer League as early as Summer League last year. You know, reverse double pump. Like he's got the ability. That's a great one. If Ron Sr., if you're here, bro, if not, I'm gonna shoot you a DM and tell you that he said that we definitely need to have Ron in the dunk contest. So
I'm here.
Definitely should make that happen. That'd be cool.
Sure.
All right, man. All right, guys. So that is all we have for this episode. We are getting closer and closer, you guys, to Pistons basketball. So once again, they play their first preseason game on October 6th, and that game is on the road against the Memphis Grizzlies. So we are just a couple days away from seeing these guys back on the court. E, as always, bro, we appreciate you tapping in, giving us the latest updates, pulling up. Let everybody know who is not acquainted with you yet, know how they can get in contact with you and stay tapped in with you and all your updates with the Pistons going forward.
Man, appreciate you for having me on, man. And thank you all for tuning in. Y'all are the greatest fans in the world, the greatest viewers in the world. We appreciate everything that y'all do. You can lock in with me on social media at I am Eric Vincent, as you see on the screen. I try to tap in on my social media as often as possible, so you can lock in with me on there. You can follow all my beat reporting at clutchpoints.com, and all of my online content is on my YouTube page, Top Title Detroit. I just crossed over 500 subscribers, and I feel special with that. So if y'all want to help add on to the party, I really appreciate it. Tell a friend to lock in with us here at Top Title Detroit. I would really appreciate y'all love on that one.
Yeah, he's doing this thing over there, you guys, and so buckle up because it's about to get real busy.
No cap.
He about to be working. Working for sure. And I did want to do it, but at least I saved it for the end of the episode.
Okay. Y'all have a good day, man. I'll holler at y'all later. This was a fun time. Y'all just ruined the whole script for me. Here you go. Come on, Drew.
It's tradition at this point, bro. It's tradition at this point. You talk about how Jordan's better than LeBron.
Think about him,
and I talk about how, and I throw any Derek White comments up here. That's not revenge.
Didn't talk about that leprechaun from Boston the whole time, and now here we are. Damn it, man! Come on, Drew.
I had to, bro. Now you can go sleep at night per use.
Yes.
And deal with your PTSD with that. All right. So, guys, we're going to call it a night. We appreciate you guys. Stop, Devon. Stop. We're not doing that tonight.
I'm done. I'm Devon.
No. We're good. No. Look, bro, I'm catching strays too. I'm just a messenger, and I'm still catching strays.
Oh,
what I do?
Y'all edited this on the worst note possible.
Y'all literally are,
guys.
Like on the major and minors of keys, just the worst note, bro. Come on. All right. Anyway, guys, we appreciate you. Hit that like button, man. We are getting closer and closer. We're almost here. So, like I said, guys, make sure you guys support Eric. Turn those noties on for Eric and myself. We appreciate you guys for staying tapped in, man. We got a lot of love for all you guys for showing love to us. And we appreciate you guys pulling up tonight, man. So with that, we will see you guys soon. And y'all know the drill. Detroit versus everybody. Peace.
And when you knock me down, I'm getting back up. Cause when I step on the floor, you know your time's up. I'm on my way up and I'm not gonna stop. We headed straight to the top in the know. I gotta face it. I got no time to waste it. It's my time now.